Do ba 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 do boo do a boo ba do ba do boo boo ba do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do 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 a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do do ba do ba do a do 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 a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do 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 ba do.
Okay, and we're live. All right, forgive me. I'm getting over a.
See, you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I accidentally muted my mic. So my voice might be a little off kilter. I'm getting over a stomach flu.
I know.
Damn it, Mandy. How are you? You're
Yeah.
not related to Damn Homie, are you?
Damn it, Mandy is the shit.
Okay. Well, as long as she's not related to Damn Homie, she should be in good. She should be in good shape, actually.
Ken Kniff from Connecticut. Thank you.
Oh, hello, Ken Kniff from Connecticut. How are you?
He's super cool.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to meet you, by the way. I'm the shit, and T. Marie is the giggles.
Definitely.
Okay, that's a 1-2 punch. Not bad. So, did you watch that first clip I played with the Australian Olympic contestant?
I did. I watched it.
Did you see her during the Olympics when it actually happened?
I did not.
Well, because of her performance, they are no longer having the breakdancing competition in the Olympics anymore.
See, all this stuff has got everybody messed up. Like, it's stay in your lane type stuff. This is craziness.
Well, she actually was, she won the breakdancing competition in Australia. That's why she represented the Australian team. She got her doctorate in breakdancing, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently, it's 2020. Well, then it was 2024, so I guess you can get a degree in almost anything now. But the reason I brought that up is because I was talking, like, the title of this live stream is Controlled Chaos. And what a lot of people don't know about breakdancing is a lot of people may know it got its starts in New York. New York.
The Bronx.
That's New York.
I'm giving you a specific. Yeah, the Boogie Down Bronx started it. I remember everybody pulled out, the linoleum.
Oh, yeah.
And a little square linoleum piece, and boy, they would go to town.
Yeah, but did you know who started the breakdancing in the Bronx?
KRS-One?
No, silly.
No, before him. But
exactly. He was a hip hop pioneer, but he didn't start breakdancing. Breakdancing actually started.
It was actually by like taggers, like we would call them taggers today, like graffiti artists. They were into skate. Actually, skaters did it.
No,
I would think.
before that, breakdancing started from gang members and the gangs in the Bronx.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I would. Okay, I get that.
And
But I mean, the
it
people
was,
who perfected it was like skateboarders and taggers.
yeah, but we're not talking about perfecting it. We're talking about originating it. And the
Okay, well, give
breakdancers,
it to me.
the gang members in between gang bangs would dance. That was what they did. That's why it was called a break dance. But
Oh, so they literally that stuff is true where they had dance offs.
the dance offs, it evolved from actually gang banging with, physical fights and knives and guns. It evolved where the competition about whose gang was better evolved into the break dance itself. But
Yes.
originally,
Wait,
if
Ken
you had a
Smith
fight
said
with,
something good. The Rocksteady crew.
okay, but I was telling a story, you know, and
Okay,
so.
I am listening, but yeah, don't give me no shit today.
No, the only reason I bring this up is because if you look at breakdancing and the movements and how they do it, it's all because they had this pent up anxiety. That's what that comes from. And it's a safe assumption that when most gangbangers start out, they're kids. And they probably, that energy from probably most likely post traumatic stress disorder is what caused them to have to find a way to burn the anxiety when they weren't actually fighting. And that's why a lot of those moves are like extremely physical. And that's why I brought it up, because like today's live stream is called Controlled Chaos. It started off as something just out of emotional imbalance and that anxiety, forcing its way out. And then it became something that was turned into an art form. And one of the things I've had to learn once I learned I had PTSD was how to take a disability and turn it into something that will give me the ability to do things that otherwise I may not be able to do. But just like you said, breakdancing, it went from something in between, you know, stabbing and fighting and clubbing people in the head into now I'll show you I can dance this style better than you. And then that became the competition.
Yeah.
It's interesting how oh wait, look up Crazy Legs New York legend. I will. Thanks, Ken.
Well, I just want to shout out, damn it, Mandy. Fun fact: I've seen a pig on a skateboard. um, I know what she's talking about. I don't want to say anything further. Yeah, I've seen fat bald pigs on it, skateboards too.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that's a inside joke because I can't imagine a skateboard supporting a full-on pig, but I get what you're
Could you
saying.
imagine being like 47, 46, 47, maybe, or 45, 46, and going to the skateboard park? Now listen, where kids go, it's a kids skateboard park, right? And then getting
Yeah.
all pissed off at the kids because they're riding scooters and shit, but they can only do like a little tiny kids half pipe, and that's where you go as a 40, 45, 46 year old man
I would
and
be
get pissed off
concerned,
at the kids.
but I would be concerned that a 46-year-old man would want to be in a park with children, playing with children. That
Exactly
my
the
my
point.
I'm sorry, but my pervert alert would go off.
Uh-huh.
Like, excuse me, like I told Florin the other day, because like one of the things I love, it comes out of something that I can't stand, because being in a third world country, the power is not always consistent, which is why we had to buy a generator. But one of the things that happens is when the power goes out, the kids can't watch TV or get on their cell phones. So they come outside and play. So I enjoy, like, anytime I hear a kid laugh, it makes me laugh. And I told her when I first came to the Philippines, they had a playground across the street from the apartment I lived at. And, the kids were always out there. And I said I always wanted to just go and enjoy the kids enjoying themselves, but I didn't want to look like a pervert. So I never went. Because, unfortunately, those are the things you have to think about in today's
You
society.
would think that. You would.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, I was a child advocate. My job was to hunt for predators.
No, I'm aware. But
So,
you know what's so funny when you say like I think of a dance off and I think of Lindsay in a zebra suit, not keeping to the rhythm.
okay. So you,
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I had to throw
no,
some
no,
shade
no,
out
no.
there.
It's okay. But you think of Lindsay and think zebra, and I think of Lindsay and I think horse. So they're kind of in the same family, right?
horse looking with a zebra pattern. Let's mutually define this.
Okay, I can go for that. But the thought of her in like a zebra onesie is not something that I
Oh
would ever
God.
want to
I believe it
entertain.
was a zebra like overalls. I think so. It was zebra overalls. She's rocking with SoFlo again. With
No,
all
she
her
did not.
butterfly things. I all I want to do is throw up a bunch of spiders.
Oh no, that's that. Oh jeez. See, Lindsay was one of those people that
A
I think.
channel gypsy.
Well, that's what I called her. Like what, 4 years ago? Because all she
Hmm.
did was she get in on one scene and then she'd be okay for about a week and then she'd be Lindsay and then get kicked out of that area and then she'd jump to another channel and to be a regular and then after a while she'd be Lindsay and then she'd have to leave that channel and jump to another channel. Like I don't know. She was probably when I started my first channel because oh my goodness, look who's here.
Hermie's
Hermes.
mom.
Hey. Whoa. Hot
Good
diggity
to see
dog.
you.
How are you? It's been so long. How's your dog? Are you still in Maryland? I hope everything's good. Stay away from Washington, D.C. Um, Not because of the citizens, but the politicians. So I don't advise anybody to be there. It's not safe. But glad to see you. But back to Lindsay, I thought the way she presented herself, she had a ton of like knowledge of YouTube and a lot of experience
Well, she
with
ought to.
YouTube.
She's been in every single facet of YouTube.
Yeah, but the problem is she didn't learn anything, in
No.
my opinion. I think this is why, and this is my opinion, I think she's very lonely. You know, at some point, you would have imagined she would start her own channel and host, other people coming on, but she prefers to bounce around. And I think, and it's just my opinion, perhaps she feels that if she had her own channel, the only people that would come would just be trolls. And I don't think she would like that. But at the same time, I also believe that Lindsay wants attention, whether it's good or bad.
Oh
You know,
yeah, but she definitely does. But she can. I saw her. I always thought that like she can get real nasty, and I'm thinking like this girl does not want to get nasty with me, and so I gave her grace, and I was like, okay, like slow down, like you don't want to do this, and I would warn her, and then I guess she thought she had the backing of SoFlo, and she got tough a few times. I let it go though. Could you imagine? If I really let go, yeah, it wouldn't be a motion sensor. It'd be a friggin' fire detector.
I remember when I still had my Christ Conflict channel. I actually texted her and told her I was going to be talking. No, I said I forgot how I phrased it, but it was basically inviting her to come on just so I could insult her, and she did.
Well, no, actually, it was you letting her on so I could insult her. But you were like, be nice, like, don't go too hard.
No,
But
after a while, when
yeah,
she
because
joined,
you
when
weren't
I
a bad guy. You weren't. But she portrayed herself, like I said, channel gypsy.
yeah, she liked that. But then I saw this clip I'm about to put on that, and I don't know. I
Yes,
guess somebody
Ken.
might think,
Is that the girl that started out on? Yes, and that's when they went against her on SoFlos. Yes,
mm,
Ken. That's her, Lindsay.
yeah, she's a one of a kind, and she's from my hometown, but she's nothing like any
Where's she from?
person.
Petty
Pennypack,
Junction.
no Pennypack,
Petty Junction. That's what I'm gonna call it. Petty Junction.
but she wasn't there very long. Like Lindsay, if I'm correct, is about. I would say she'll be 45 this year, and she left Philadelphia when she was 15.
Yeah.
And where she was, if she now she's claiming she's from Pennypack. I don't know if that's true or not. Like, I'm not interested enough to do the research. But what I would say is,
She knows a lot about it, though.
well, no, she could have been from areas near Pennypack. Like,
Uh,
Pennypack was a very, when I lived in Pennypack, I lived in Pennypack from, well, when I say lived there, my girlfriend lived there, but I basically lived with her. I had my own house, but my house was in Frankfurt. I lived in Pennypack with her from 1998 until about 2093. But in the 90s, Pennypack was like a hidden gem for a good community to live in and raise your children in. It's no longer that. It wasn't that before I left Philadelphia. It started to decline because
yes,
families
damn it, Mandy. I'm sorry to cut you off. See, yes, damn it, Mandy, you're right.
were from the
Damn
women's.
it, Mandy said from the women's community, that Lindsay, and I said yes.
Used to hang out at Jules, then went to the Who's the Ripper? That's a new one for me.
The Ripper is SoFlo.
Oh, Ripper's a play on words. Okay.
Yeah.
He's the Ripper. Oh, but anyway, watch this clip. This When I saw this, it made me think of a few people.
Okay.
What does that say?
Yeah. I just resort to that clip anytime somebody that, is being a jerk says something that I don't particularly care for. She's not exactly what's the word I'm looking for here?
With it, she's not exactly with it.
Yeah.
It's not all there.
The thing that disturbs me about that whole situation is that she was friends with people that did not like her, and I think she knew
No,
they
that would
did not
diss
like her,
her and just yes.
right?
Yes.
And that speaks to a self-image, self-esteem issue. I remember when I was looking to have somebody tag team with on live streams, and I asked Lindsay if she was. No, I think I'm not going to say she volunteered herself. I'm going to say I asked her. I'm not going to put that on her.
Okay.
And when I realized that she wasn't what she presented herself to be, was when this was during that whole KJ thing, when that family that had the reality show that they were in prison now, they were suing KJ for libel.
Oh, the Southern Family.
Yeah. The Southern.
Oh God, what's it? Is his name? I know this with the grandma and
Yeah, we know.
Savannah and
Oh,
the
the
daughter.
Chrisleys. The
Chrisley's, that's
Chris. Yeah,
it.
the
When
Chrisleys.
he said, it does you no good to do spring cleaning in the winter, honey.
Yeah. Thank you, Mandy. What happened
Thank
was
you.
she was going to watch that attorney. I can't remember her name. Very good attorney that has a live stream who was going to go through, the transcripts. I didn't want to do it, so she offered to do it. And then leading up to the live stream, she was texting me. I got like 5-6 pages worth of notes, and this is going to be
Yeah,
great. And I
she
was
was
like,
obsessed with you.
I wouldn't go that far.
No,
I
she
think.
was. I remember. And then she would, like you said, like a channel gypsy. Then she'd go somewhere else. And like it said it in the chat, like, isn't she with Tig, who is see, Chicago Muscle?
Oh, I heard of him.
Yes.
Him, I've heard of. KJ is without a crystal ball. Yes, Mandy, that's who it was. I was originally, when I got into YouTube, I fell into the anti KJ community, I guess you would call it.
Well, you
And
didn't seek that out. They kind of seek you. Turn that down. Well, you didn't seek that out. Sorry, guys.
no problem. Yeah, Ken Lindsay, she first got married at the age of 15. And, under the age of 18, you have to get parents' permission. But my theory is that when her family decided to move to Florida, they didn't want to bring her. So they married her off so she would be somebody else's responsibility. And everything I'm telling you is what she's said a million times on different channels
Oh,
at
yeah.
some point. This is nothing like I'm doxing her or anything like that. And then
Yeah.
she said her second marriage was with her friend or something like that, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I forgot what the third marriage was about, but now she was living in Florida with like 3 dogs and a cat, or 3 cats and a dog. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But the final straw for me came when, you remember that girl Jess that used to do those KJ shorts? They'd be like 45 seconds or so.
With the redheaded girl?
Yes, her.
Yes, I think I do remember.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
didn't.
know for sure, but yes, I do.
She had a psychotic break actually on one of my live streams. I didn't know that, I didn't know she had mental health issues. Like, I don't make it a secret that, I have mental illness, but she didn't disclose that. And I'm not going to blame her for, keeping it to herself. You don't want people to know. You don't want people to know. But she had accused me of saying something or texting something that was mean to her. And I said, show me the text. And the text that she showed me, that she took a screenshot and showed it to me, basically said, I thought you were going to be on the live stream tonight. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? So then Jess went off and started posting things like I was saying these mean things about PJ, and which I did. I'm not gonna lie. I said very mean things about PJ because PJ had questioned my faith. And before I found that, the Holy Spirit, I would react. But then Lindsay joined forces with her, and then she would go on Jess's channel and they would talk bad about me, at which point I was like, why are you talking bad about me? And that's when I turned, I stopped being friends with Lindsay because I had stopped. No, I know what happened. When the situation where she was supposed to have like feedback from the KJ civil suit, she didn't say anything. All she was talking about was how many pages of notes she had. And I'm like, well, read from your notes. And she didn't do it. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing. And then she's saying she's worried about, copyright infringement. I'm like, there's no copyright infringement because you're reporting what a lawyer said about the transcript. You're just giving opinion. And then she was talking about community guidelines, and I'm like, there's no community guidelines violations. She basically didn't know what she was talking about, and that kind of, it embarrassed me. And so after that, I didn't say I don't want to partner with you anymore, but I said we're going to talk before you get on, so I make sure what you're saying makes sense. And then the day I was supposed to do a live stream, she told me that somebody had hacked her computer or doxed her, and they were putting new pictures
Oh
of
yeah,
her
right.
on,
She
the
sent so
internet.
many herself. Oh my God.
Okay, so first of all, that's not anything I would ever want to say. Okay,
No, I know
just
you wouldn't say it, but I'm saying it.
no, I'm saying that's the first thing. I don't think anybody would want to see that. Lindsay had sent me pictures one time because I said she had the body of a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, I mean, and if you want to send you, there's no difference if you want to send a picture of a 2x4 or Lindsay, you get the same thing, except for
But
without the whole face.
yeah, but then she decided she was going to send me pictures of her. They were fully clothed. I need to say that first, but she sent these pictures where she was in like sexy poses, and she was saying,
Oh, the knees to the ground, wide open poses. Yes, I know.
"Oh, you've seen that picture, huh? Oh, okay."
Yeah, she sends them to girls too to prove how pretty she is, and I'm like, no, no, that's not okay.
Okay, well, one thing that needs to be said is that the picture she was sending me was clearly from when she, like 20 years earlier in her life. They were not new pictures, because the first time I saw her live did not match with the picture she had sent. And I was like, wait, whoa, whoa. Like, it was kind of disturbing. But when she sent the picture, she actually said, does it still look like I have the body of a 12-year-old boy? And I said, yes. You
Oh
know,
dear Lord.
well, like,
You don't want to have the body of a 12-year-old boy. You just want to, and when you're getting up there in age as a girl, as a woman, you want to have the ass of a 12-year-old boy, not the body of one.
no, if you put her in like a,
And I say that with all respect. Like that's
no, if,
not anything
if,
to 12-year-old boys or
no,
14-year-old.
if you cut her
Oh
hair and put
God, I just
her
said
in a
something so
t-shirt,
wrong.
if you put her in a t-shirt and shorts that said like
Juicy
Wilson,
on the back,
no, Wilson
they
Junior
just
High
wouldn't fit.
School, you would think she was on the basketball team,
I get what you're saying.
you know, and that's the only thing I was saying. And I, I had I took a screenshot of a text message she sent me because I was saying Lindsay's worried about her nude pictures being all over the internet, and then she sent a text message saying, "Dude, nobody wants to see nude pictures of me." And I was like, "I agree with you. Nobody wants to see that." And then she went to T-Spiracy, because T-Spiracy, when I was still talking with
I
T-Spiracy,
remember that. Yes, I
and she
remember.
T-Spiracy said, "Why is Lindsay crying to me about she has nice boobs?" And I was like, "I honestly don't know. I never made a comment about any particular part of her body. I just said she has the body of a 12-year-old. But she yeah,
Damn it,
she
Mandy! You gotta read some of the comments.
all right. Let's see. When I first got here, years before MobTube became a thing, I used to watch KJ for updates on my shows. Yeah, I did too. I found KJ. I didn't get into YouTube until 2019 when I first became disabled, but I didn't know about like actual YouTube communities until 2020 during the pandemic. And I came across KJ because there was this family channel. I forgot the name of the channel, but this family, this husband and wife from Ohio, wanted to adopt a little boy from China. And then when they brought him back to America, they realized he had autism, and so they gave him away. And so it was a big thing about that. And when I was watching that was how I came across KJ's channel, not Beyond the Crystal Ball, not a crystal ball. I don't even remember what the name of her channel is anymore. But she was supposed to have like the transcript because there was like a child services report investigation being done on this actual couple. That's how I got into KJ. And then from KJ, I started noticing, like, it turns up in your recommendations and from the algorithm, channels started coming up that were saying they didn't like KJ because I watched her channel like objectively. When she didn't talk about that particular case I mentioned, it was boring. Like what are you talking about? And then one of her thumbnails said, "Me and my husband almost joined a cult." And I'm like, okay, let's see what this was about. But it never said anything. And then after that, I started seeing people not liking her. I think I was watching Love After Lockup and needed an update. Mandy, that was a weird show.
I like that show to see how it plays out. Love After Lockup, like they get out and then shit goes wrong. And it's just funny. It's just drama.
The ex-convicts, they weren't weird to me.
No, it was the people on the outside that were weird.
Yes. There was one guy, I think his name was DeAndre. He spent $35,000 on this woman's commissary. And then the day she came out, he had bought her like expensive clothes. I can't remember what it was. And then he bought her a brand new iPhone, which I think at that time might have been like iPhone 11.
Yeah, explain that to me. How do these guys paying for this stuff in the joint? They got more money than these hungry bitches on the outside.
Oh, because they're using their savings, or I know one guy cashed in his pension. He was from, I think, California. And then he went to Michigan to get his woman. And then he spent so much money on her. He met her daughter, and the daughter told him, "My mom probably used most of that money on drugs." And so he had but she told him she wasn't going to have sexual relations with him until they got married. I think he just wanted to have sex. But even when she came home, he gave her his credit card. She maxed out his credit card, actually bought something for the cashier at the store while she was using the credit card. Like, "Would you like something too?" And he was telling her, like, "I just want this to be real." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "I don't know if this is real or not." And the daughter was telling him, like, "Look, I don't think my mom loves you. I think she's just using you." When he told her he didn't have any more money, she kicked him to the curb. The other guy, DeAndre, when he bought the girl an iPhone and she's changing from the prison garb into like brand new clothes, he thought they were going to go back to his place and have sex for like 12 hours. And she's like, "No, I want to go see my mom today." So then he wants to go meet her mom too. And she's like, "No, I haven't seen my mom in like 2 years. So no, you just go home and I'll talk to you later." And she wouldn't have sex.
I can imagine that. Like, all right, if you're going to give me the ride, like I get that. I'd rather take a bus. But the first thing I want to do is see my family, not some stranger that's been writing to me.
Okay, fair enough. I agree with you. What I don't understand is because he thought he was going to marry this woman. I'm pretty sure his name was DeAndre.
I'm trying
he
to
knew
DeAndre.
I can't remember
those, but damn it, Mandy has a good point. I don't know if she wrote this legitimately. She said, "Ooh, is that Lindsay?" And
yeah. And the way older guys, she was pretty and he was. Wait a minute. No,
that's got a double meaning. It's got a double meaning.
Now, I was told that Mandy, not you. I was told that Lindsay had contacted people like the people on Love After Lockup. Like she was in communication with one of the men that was on Love After Lockup. And it was disappointing, but it didn't surprise me.
Welcome to the New World Order.
Why would you, if you're single, you have a career or income or whatever, there's so many people, why would you want to write to a prisoner? Like that speaks to your character, as you're going to find romance with somebody that's locked up in chains, somebody that is in a cage. It's like you don't think a person that has free will would want you, so you're going to go after a person who, when you meet them, does not have free will. That bothered me.
Hold on, let me address Mandy. Mandy, no shit, Kane Shades. He's part of. I'm gonna say mob too, but the mob genre. Let's just say that, not mob tube, because a lot of people get offended if you say that. So Kane Shades got Lindsay to leave a message to Joe Bay 8th.
Who's
that girl, Lindsay? It's part of the mob genre.
No, who's Bay 8? Is that a person or is that a channel?
Yeah, it is. Like there's a guy, Kane Shades. He had novellas. It's a show, and I guess Joe Bay liked Lindsay from the show, the pretty Lindsay from the show that was with that Scott guy that had alcoholic lip or whatever they call that.
What?
Yeah, and she's saying that I remember something like it, but I recall it, Mandy. I do, but oh my God, holy shit! And she did it.
Apparently,
those were herpy lips. You can count on, damn it, Mandy, to light up any fucking show. I don't care.
Okay, so I know what herpy lips are. I never heard of alcoholic lips. Oh, wait. No, go ahead.
I'm free. Hold on. I'm gonna die laughing. I'm gonna step away. God, keep talking. Oh my God.
Okay, so Teresa goes off to get oxygen to calm down her hysterical laughing. We will continue now. Actually, was this Kane Shades played at every show? Then that went. Oh wow. Mandy always got the tea. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Mandy. Thanks for the tea. My cup's been empty for quite a while.
I'm fucking crying. I can't.
Now, are we talking about Lindsay McNeil? Actually,
no.
Okay.
No. I think it's the real Lindsay from the show who got with that old Scott dude, that weirdo. He's just weird. And I was like, what is this girl doing? But then I realized she was money grabbing and okay. And it turned out he didn't have no money. So she was gone. She's good as gone.
Mandy, I'm going to send the link.
Oh my God.
You want to come on.
I just sent the link
for you. In case you want to come on and
share some. Anybody wants to grab the link, please do.
Well, while we wait for that, remember I told you I wanted to get your reaction to a couple of videos?
Yes.
So I'm going to play a couple of these videos, just a few seconds of it, and then you tell me which one you want to say. So here's number one.
Okay.
Because I'm in the middle of work. Please, I have to go to work.
Okay, well, you're not going anywhere.
I'm not going
Chris,
anywhere.
Get over here.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, that's number one.
All right. Do I
wait.
now?
No,
oh, okay.
No. I'm going to play a bunch of videos, clips, and then you tell me which one you want to talk about.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, so here's number two. Now, I'm going to warn you for number two, this one's loud, just so you know.
Okay.
I'm in my house.
It doesn't matter. You stepped outside and kept doing what you're doing. Turn over. Turn over. Turn over. Now, you keep thinking you're going to get charged again.
Let me guess, that was illegal.
I think there's a possibility that something illegal happened. All right, so here's number 3.
Damn, please. I have family, my kids going to school. I got so much going on, man.
By myself with all these kids, like, come on now, 30 days. Like,
The judge, please, is there anything I can do?
I thought he could have worn a different suit, but that's just my opinion.
I agree. I think we should let the chat decide. Video 1, video 2. Put a 1 in the chat for video 1. Put a 2 in the chat for video 2. 3 for video 3.
And here's video 4.
Oh, you got another one. I did not know that. Okay, let's
You
see.
said I could go on the plane. My bag is on the plane. Listen, no, do not. Do not. What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? Seriously, I have to get my kids. My mother-in-law's on. Oh, Jesus, my food.
Okay, so
All right.
those are the
First of
4.
all, on video 4, dude knows he should get drunk on a plane. Not before the plane, on the plane.
Ken wants 4.
All right, come on, guys. Video 1, 2, 3, or 4. Majority rules.
So far, we have a vote for number 4.
The chick on the bed was pretty funny.
Okay, so
Hold on, wait. No. 4. We got another 4.
Mm-hmm. So far, 2 want number 4. Majority rules. So there's a story behind all of these videos, and number 4 was funny. Now, number 4. So, all right, we got 3 for number 4. I'll do the countdown, so then that way we'll give them another 30 seconds, and then we'll see what the vote is. So here we go. Here's the countdown. Okay, so it looks like number 4 is the unanimous decision, which is cool. Hold on one second. Okay, so the backstory about this. Wait, what's Mandy saying? You should find the video of the woman that stole $2,000 worth of hair. What? What?
Damn it, Mandy.
What? Whoa! Oh wow! Like 2,000. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google that and go on YouTube and find that. This video right here, number 4. It was a husband and wife on the airplane. The wife, was causing all of the trouble. The airline said she had to go. The husband deciding that, you're not going to talk to my wife like that, because they kept telling him, go back.
Oh my God, that's so mean, guy.
What guy say?
No, that's so mean, guy. I would be acting a fool on a plane, and then he'd freak out over somebody saying she's acting a fool.
Yeah, but then what ended up happening was that they told him either you get back on the plane or we're going to have to remove you too. And he kept doing this whole listen to me thing. Let me back it up a little bit. That's where it came from. So I'll show you. We'll go back to the woman right here. This is his wife. When they told her she has to leave.
Okay. Do you have any items? Can you get his items out the aircraft? Because if you don't leave right now, you're going to be arrested as well.
What are things? What about the kids?
We'll take
What
care of
about
everything.
where?
We'll take care of everything. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of everything. But this is abuse. Listen, they have no rights. I have my rights objected, and she's abusing me for no reason. So you can go. So you can.
Now, I gotta be honest, I don't understand why. And being in the Philippines, I get this completely because, you know, I didn't realize how tolerant American customer service people, flight attendants, things like that. I didn't realize how tolerant they were until I got here. Because here, they're not tolerant at all. And this woman, who I believe is from Africa, she didn't like something, and instead of listening, they called the police, and now she's screaming about her rights. And it's like, do you really know your rights, or is that just something you heard somebody else say?
But we won't know you're like a fool.
All right, you ready? Yeah. All right, ready, man?
Peter, you can go. And thank you so much. She doesn't like the fact that I'll be recorded. My right to record.
Yeah, you can record all you want. That's fine.
That's the reason why she denied me voting.
now you're
Is that the reason why I denied voting?
That's fine.
Is that the reason why?
Ma'am, you're being asked to leave.
Peter, don't worry. We'll
been
get
nice
security.
enough.
It's important to note that by
So at this point, I would have worked out something with my wife. Either I'm going to go back and grab my kids and we all leave, or I'm going to say, listen, you go catch another flight and we'll see you when we get home. That's what I would have did. You know, but it's not me. Like, yeah, because they're slowing down the flight. And if I was a flight attendant or if I was a passenger on that plane, I'm going to want to punch them in the mouth because I got to get somewhere. And they're slowing everything down. Like, I just didn't understand, like, what was the purpose of that?
I'm giving you the option right now. Do you have kids on here? Do you have kids?
Take care of.
Do you have kids on this aircraft right now?
No, we do not have kids on the aircraft
So,
right now.
is he denied
But
boarding?
we have- My
Okay.
mother-in-law is leaving tonight.
Can you get the rest of his items?
I do not know.
You can't get back on the aircraft.
No, we
okay?
have to take care of our kids.
No, I'm telling
Our
you.
kids have to go to school
I'm telling
tomorrow.
you cannot get back on the aircraft.
No,
Okay?
No.
See, right there.
Damn, no.
Right there. They're telling him, we'll get everything off. And then now he's going to walk away from the police on an airplane. That's just stupid.
Yeah, you can't pull shit like that on the airplane. When it's on an airplane, they will excuse me. They will land that plane on the next
And see, Mandy,
flight
like,
just to drop your ass off.
yeah, but I understand what Mandy's saying. So if it's that, I mean, you have to think about your kids, though. That's why I said you got one or two choices. Either you're going to grab the kids and we're all going to leave as a family, which is fine, or you say, listen, we have to get the kids home. I'm going to make sure the kids get home safe. And the wife might say, okay, yeah, I'm going to take care of this. You guys stay on the flight. But now you've put everybody at risk because nobody's listening. No, like, you're just running on emotion.
Stop that! This is bullshit!
So now he's under arrest.
No!
This is bad.
No, you said I could go on the plane.
Oh, it gets
You
worse.
said I could go on the plane. Listen to me. Listen to me.
despite what he may think, the husband
So yeah, now it comes up here. Now, mind you, the wife left.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she walked off. And all they
And
told
the
her was
husband's
just
still
leave.
going at it.
He's still fighting.
physical force.
Listen to me. You said I could go on the plane. My bag is on the plane. Listen, no.
And he's holding on the doors. And,
Do not. What is wrong with you people?
no, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you people? Seriously, I have to get my kids. My mother-in-law's on. Oh Jesus, my food. Don't tase me. Why?
Oh, it fills up.
Are you under arrest?
No. No. No.
Put your hands by your back.
Just leave me alone, please. Leave me alone, please.
Leave me alone, please.
Hey, give me your other arm, man.
Leave me alone. I do not
It wasn't that serious. I was only playing.
Listen to me. Will you listen to me?
Listen to me.
Will you listen to me?
Okay. Yeah, he's got.
Okay, so they just gave him his first warning. If you don't cooperate, you will be tased. Now, instead of him saying, listen to me, I would have been like, all right, I hear you. Okay. That's me. Mandy saying,
I don't mind the tasing. What if they put you in that chair and you get an itch? That's what scares me. You know the chair? I'd rather be
fair.
the chair where
When they strap you down to the chair?
Yeah, what if you get a friggin' itch? That's cruel. I'd rather be tased and maced, everything. I'll eat that. But the chair, when they put you in that chair,
Okay, but listen, all of us don't have a tolerance for pepper spray or electricity like you. Some of us would actually see that as
you were in the service, so yes, you do. Because in order to go through boot camp, you had to get all that shit done. So you got
Okay,
something for it.
Let me remind you of this. I went through boot camp 35 years ago. I didn't leave the army.
Yeah, when you're younger, you could just eat that shit. But
I didn't leave the army and smelling like, oh wait, you know what? Let's go to the pepper spray bar so we can get maced. Didn't that bring back fun times? No, that wasn't me.
My fear is the chair. What if I get an itch?
So the only time I would probably ever behave
I'll
myself
behave.
would be outside of the American borders. Exactly. You're right. Even though everyone enjoys our freedoms when they come over here, the same is not extended to us. You're absolutely right, Mandy. I found that out in the Philippines. So before we finish this, just a quick story. This time last year, I went to the immigration office, which is north of the city I live in, which is about 2.5, 3 hours away.
A little.
Now, the first time I went there, all right, so backtrack a little bit. I came here 3 years ago. When I went to the immigration office where I first lived at when I came here, there were no issues. I would go in, give them my paperwork, they check my passport, show me how much I had to pay, paid it, give me a change if there was, print out the receipt. Then they made sure I saw where it said, you have to come back in 2 months. No problem. Did that for about 8 months. Then I moved. I moved to a bigger area and it had a bigger city. So I was under the impression it's probably going to go even smoother now because the place I originally went to, the place was like the size of one of those KFCs where they only do takeout, you can't eat in. It was like small like that. This place was bigger, had a waiting area, had like a hallway. But when I get there, they treated me so nasty. Why are you here? What do you mean, why am I here? And that was a question they asked me. And they're like, well, you've been here for over a year. So what? I didn't say so what, but it's like, did I do something wrong? I found out the reason that they were so hostile towards me was because two things. A, I was Christian and these women were Muslim. And B, because I was black, which I didn't expect at all. So I stopped going to that office. I went to the one in the southern part of the island, which is 6 hours away. But when I go there, there's no problem. Everybody there is friendly. Now, mind you, still black, still American. And the people in there, some are Muslim, some aren't, but everybody's professional there. The one in the north place, the place is called, the nickname is CDO, like the 3 letters. The people in there actually threatened me last year when I went there saying, we don't have to approve your visa and you can only come here now. From now on, you can't go to Davao and you can't go to Iligan and you can't go, which was a lie. My dog's veterinarian, when I told her about the problem, because she's from that city, She said they did that because they wanted me to bribe them so they would be nice to me. And she was also the one that told me, no, go south. If you go south, there's no issues. So I started going south. The reason I had to go back to CDO was because this is a Christian nation. They take Holy Week very seriously. So like where in America, things might be closed for like Good Friday up until Easter Monday, they shut down here that Wednesday. So there's Holy Thursday, Good Friday, blah, 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 blah. We went there on Wednesday, but their system went offline. We got there like 12:30 in the afternoon. Their system went offline. I'm like, come back Monday. Monday, me and my wife were going to go, but there were no buses going there. So we had to go north. That's why we went back in there. And once again, they try to give me a hard time. But I was just saying that based on what Mandy was talking about, like you have to be nice, because if this was America and they treated me that way, you know, you could say, I want to speak to your supervisor, or, you know, you could write and file a complaint. You can't really do that here because they're automatically going to take the side of their employee. It's not a thing where it's subjective or they know this person has a history of mouthing off to, you know, the clients that come in. They're automatically going to take the side of their employees. Like it's just going to happen. That's just the culture here. So yeah, you have to be more like you have to understand that going in. And that's why I mentioned that. But we can get back to this dude.
Don't.
He's fine.
Don't
He's fine.
do that.
Hands on your back.
What is wrong? God damn it.
Do it now.
Do not tase me.
Watch back. We good. We good.
Wait for it.
We good. We
Do
good.
not
And it's like that. Just like that.
And you're telling me if that happened to you, you would have just ate that tase? Teresa.
No. Let me explain something. I ate the
Okay.
mace because I was under investigation for like 2 months. And
Is this
well,
a-
I wasn't. The person I was with was, and but I was notorious, and I burnt so many towns down. And the detective called me and he said, you know, Teresa, come and turn yourself in. He said, but if I know you, you won't. So you got to decide whether we're going to do it the easy way or the hard way. I said, well, since you know so much about me, then you know we're going to do it the hard way.
So you're letting them know to pull
I
out the
can.
mace.
He sent 2 uniforms down because he knew how I roll because we once tangled before. Me and the detective. We once.
Mhm.
So I whooped the shit out of 2 uniforms, and they put me in the back of an SUV cop car. And I was like, "What's the matter? You don't want to fight no more? You don't want to play no more?" And they're sitting in the front seat out of breath. And now I'm behind a cage. You know what I mean? What happened? You don't want to play no more?
And this was after they pepper sprayed you?
Oh yeah, but what I didn't know, I thought they had to come up on me. I didn't know about those fish hooks that stick on you and they can higher the voltage and
Yeah.
do some shit like that. They can higher it and they can keep going. I never knew I had anything stuck in me.
Yeah, see, you're thinking of a
I thought
stun gun.
I thought one of them got up on me and just hit me with a taser. No. Let me tell you something. They got some sneaky shit. They could stand far from you, hit you in your torso. These fish hooks, they got barbs on them, just like a fish hook, and they can up that motherfucker as much as they want to.
And you know,
And they
every
can do it
time-
again and again and again.
Every time they squeeze the trigger, it lasts for 5 seconds. Like they can't control how long they tase you for. It's automatically going to be 5
I
seconds.
believe
of
they
elect-
can. I don't know. I'd have to beg to differ. I believe they can because it felt like a little while. But anyway, they were able to handcuff me after they upped it. Because I was kicking ass and taking names. That's the truth.
Yeah, but they
And
didn't
I
want to fight
wasn't
you.
panting. I was not paying. Well, the detective said, I know you, so we could do things the easy way or we could do things the hard way. I said, well, since you know me, you know how this is going to go. So send your best. And they sent these two little skinny punk bitches down to arrest me.
No,
And
they sent their best taser. That's what they sent.
exactly. But I wasn't letting them grab at anything because they could have shot me for all I knew. I wasn't letting them grab at anything. I was bum rushing them.
No, but that's just it. That's the purpose of the
I had them
taser.
locked with a real small light coffee table up against the wall. And they're both pushing, they couldn't stop me.
Now let me ask you a question. They just wanted you to come in so they could talk to you, or they were telling you
No,
were coming
they
to
already
arrest
had
you?
talked. They already had talked to me, and they told me, "Well, your boyfriend just told us everything he did." I said, "Well, since he did that, you should be arresting me." I said, "If not, I'm out of here," and I walked out. So I know he didn't tell nothing, but
They
whatever
wanted to
he was
talk.
doing, and I
Uh-huh.
told that son of a bitch, don't tell me nothing. Don't you tell me a damn thing, because if I know that, like, I could slip up at any moment, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, I told him, don't tell me nothing. I don't know nothing. He had some, you know, like cell phone thing going on. I don't know what it was. I know now, but
Oh, he had a cell phone scam going on.
yeah, some shit with that, with credit cards or the cards you
Oh.
bought, something like that. But I didn't know then. I know now. So,
Uh-huh.
but I literally had those two cops, the uniformed officers, with a really light coffee table. You're talking like maybe 7 pounds that thing was, but I had it by the legs, and I pinned the two officers against the wall. They had nowhere to go, and they were trying really hard. But then I decided, up, they lifted their chins. I got it
And
right up under their neck, and they wasn't going nowheres.
yeah, see, watching these types of videos has given me a newfound respect for law enforcement. Now, don't get me wrong. I know plenty of bad cops. I know more bad cops than I know good cops. But in these situations, all of the police are being reasonable. And all of the people, especially since we have cell phone cameras now, they think I got this camera out here and you're violating my rights. And they don't even know what the.
No, we didn't have that back then,
No, you didn't
and
have it back then.
not back when. I've been good for a long time, but at that time, my dad had just died, and I was on a tear. To anything that got in my way, I was gonna run through it, and that
Okay.
was it. It was like I didn't grieve. So when I did go to jail, everybody came to bail me out, and now, mind you, my mom was a correctional officer. Not in that, not where I was, but
No,
close.
but that was her profession.
Right. So she sent my brothers down to be, and I said, "No, I'm going to stay here for a while because I was just angry, and it was probably the best thing for me."
When you told me before you told me this story, but you said, you were used to, you weren't afraid of the pepper spray. I thought it was because of a situation
No.
that involved bacon. That's what I thought.
Nah, I ain't scared of bacon, but the pepper spray didn't do it. I mean, I was a little offended. Like, I thought somebody ran up on me and tased me. I didn't know they could throw them hooks in you and keep them in you and just keep going.
Yeah,
But
they
that wasn't my
usually
fear neither. I was
they
like, that is some fucked up shit right there. You cannot let somebody know. Like, if you don't stop, I'm gonna keep doing this to you.
they're all
They
a-holes to
didn't
me.
say nothing, but them cops were bitches, and I let them know when they had to come testify against me in court. I let them
So
know that they were bitches.
wait, hold on a second. Mandy, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Is it possible you're just a bad driver? I'm just asking. I don't know. You know, Maybe they felt it was safer for, like, you know, the community if they waited until you pulled into your, you know, driveway as opposed to pulling you over on the street.
But legally, you can't. Once you reach your driveway, they can't.
Says who?
In New York State, if your car is shut off by the time you can't pull into any driveway. But if you're in your driveway, that's it. They got no jurisdiction.
So
I mean,
know,
unless it's really serious. But the thing I was scared of is when they got, you know, like I said, I was in the back of the thing and I said, "Oh, what's the matter? You don't want to play no more?" And they were out of breath. And when I got to the chair, they were like, "If you don't knock it off, we have this chair." And I saw other people in the chair and I was like, okay. And my biggest fear was getting an itch that I couldn't scratch.
So
that was the thing. Guy will tell you. He will tell you. And he's not even here. Guy, I need you to, can you come here for 1 second? I need you to tell this story because this is how funny it is. And I was like, okay, I'll behave. I don't want him to hear. I was like, I'll behave. Just don't put me in that chair. I was like, because I might.
When you saw the chair, that's what.
Yeah, they cross. Hold on. I don't want nobody to say I'm lying because everybody will.
Mm-hmm.
All right, babe, come here. It's your brother on the phone.
Jeff C.
Hey, what's going on, guy?
Now you know I fought the police and the detective who said, you know, we could do this easily.
All right. What part of the story do I have to verify?
Well, you know, I got what?
You got tased.
Yeah, no, I did not get tased. The fish hooks.
That's tased.
Right.
Yeah, that's tased.
But what was the thing I said, okay, I'll behave now?
Oh, when they were going to put her in the chair, she said, what if I get an itch?
I'm sure they would have. No, but then they would have scratched it for you.
No, they would not have. And that would have further pissed me off. Oh my God. When I get an itch I can't reach, do I go insane?
Do you know what she did to me? Or tried to do to me?
Oh, God.
When we were early in our relationship.
You're talking about with the twins.
I'm pulling like 17, 18-hour days, and I come home and I cannot stay awake, and she's pregnant like nobody's business.
All right, well,
itching, and she is itching from being.
Explain that I went into labor.
Yes, I know. She's very, very, very pregnant. So, you know, when your skin is stretched like that, you're going to itch.
Yeah.
Right? But I cannot stay awake. Right? And so I'm catching grief for this night after night. So, you know, how can I sleep while she's sitting there in misery?
Every man is going to hate me.
So my mother, because she's cheap, she would tell Teresa that I'm allergic to Tide. That's why Teresa would go shopping for her and say, "Do you want me to pick up Tide?" And she'd say, "No." She'd say, "He's allergic." But
I like Tide.
He's allergic to that. Best. She said, "So don't buy that for him, and don't buy it for me." So she goes and washes my clothes in a double dose of Tide,
and didn't rinse, and
didn't tell me, thinking I'm gonna itch like crazy. But guess who itched?
You motherfucker! I should jack your jaw right now.
See, I witnessed this. Guy, I think that's the definition of karma.
It's all right.
Whose side are you on?
I got a ton of my own.
I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just saying, like, Teresa, to be fair, he was working 18 hours a day. You could have took a spatula or like a little pitchfork or something and kind of reached those hard to reach areas.
It wasn't that.
You know, I had an itch pen.
Yeah, it wasn't
for bug bites.
See, it wasn't that. It was just itches drive her to insanity.
It was horrible.
So there was no real.
I had twins, and I started funneling, and I went into active labor at 26 weeks, and I held them in for 36 weeks, which is normal for twins. and they weren't premature. They were 5 pounds and 7 ounces and 8.5 ounces.
So that would have
Which
been like
is,
a 13-pound baby you were carrying if it was just one.
oh my God, it went around my back, but the itching, I don't have one stretch mark. Swear to God, ask Guy, I don't
No.
have one stretch mark.
She was literally wearing the same jeans like the next day.
I never had no, and
It was all belly.
after I had the twins, like I didn't have a belly. I went right back down because I had so many ab muscles. And the doctor said he cut me so small because I obviously, took care of my body.
Yeah, well, being in good shape, I'm sure that played a role in how you didn't have
Oh,
stretch.
absolutely. They put me on bed rest. I said, fuck that. I'm not doing no bed rest. We went to the beach. My belly was tan. People came up to me and said I look better than Demi Moore on whatever cover she did.
Oh,
That was-
yeah, I remember that magazine cover.
But in all reality, in all seriousness, I mean, you know Teresa, and like, I mean, in the beginning of our, like when we were together, she did everything. I was, I was away all the time, and she did
Right.
everything. When I tell you she held me down, like there ain't no woman in the world I could imagine hold a man down like that.
That's nice.
I mean, I would come home and there would be a dinner completely waiting for me, warm as I'm walking through the door. She would have my pajamas laid out to sleep in for the night. My towel would be warm on the heater.
Right.
No, I put it in the dryer. And when you
No,
woke
but we
up in the
also for a
morning,
while we had that little heater to keep the bathroom specifically
yeah.
warm, and you would put it on there.
I forgot.
I mean, she just held me down like you can't imagine. So I was able to go do what I had to do, and she did what she had to do. And I don't think, and she did a lot of it. Like, I wasn't worth a shit by the time I got home.
Yeah,
So-
18-hour days. Yeah, you're going to be like on autopilot.
And she just, I mean, foot rubs, and she just was the best. She still is.
Yeah.
You're so
I
full
agree.
of shit. I've gotten old and cranky, and I'm not still the best at. You rub your own damn feet.
No, but when you were young, you were still cranky too, but you still took care of your husband. We're not talking about cranky. We're just talking about the dedication and commitment. And he's speaking of the level of love and care that you showed for him in spite of your own discomfort from carrying 2 babies.
Oh,
See?
yeah.
I'm not taking
Yeah.
sides. I don't have to take sides. You guys are
You
on
might
the
have to
same.
take a side on one thing. Do you know how people get like held down and tickled,
Yeah.
or just tickled in any way? Like people, that is not fun for me.
And
Some
we are at
people laugh.
another story.
You should tell people that story so that the men on here are aware, and some of the girls who say they're going to drive to my house are aware.
Well,
Because I was doing dishes, not even looking, and you got jacked up.
Well,
I
no,
came up.
when I
She
first
made
started.
it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, see.
No, when I first started dating Florian, she's like Teresa, where she doesn't like to be tickled because she gets out of control.
Oh
And
my God, I turned barbarian. I'll kill you.
No, she fell off the bed and got a concussion. But sometimes when we argue, I'll try to tickle her just to break up the anger.
Don't do that. It's not fun. Don't do that to her. Oh my God, it is not fun.
It's fun for me.
It's fun for you. Now tell your story about fun. How much fun did you have?
I was given direct orders to never, ever, ever, ever tickle her. Which in the beginning, the first time she just made it a point and she was mad at me. Like I was like, I didn't know.
Right.
So then just like not even thinking, like I came up behind her, she was doing dishes and I put my hands like a little bit too close to her armpits. And she, if I remember I remember the gist of it, but if I remember exactly, she kicked backwards, caught me square in the nuts. I slammed my head down bending over. I slammed my head down, hit the edge of the countertop, right in
And
my
knocked
forehead.
yourself out on the back.
I hit it so hard it flipped me over backwards, and I landed flat on my back.
I did headbutt you though.
And then
You didn't notice because
back-
of everything you went through.
But yeah. And then what the last story that I want to share is one night around the tickle the itching time when the tide didn't work. When the tide didn't work, it was like a nightly thing. Like, are you going to be able to stay awake for a little while tonight?
You gotta explain them that I'm freakishly strong.
Right?
Freakishly.
So she says one night I come home and she says right around that time, and she says, "Now I had enough of your shit." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what are you going to do about it?" She's like, "Tonight I'm going to show you I had enough of your shit." And I was like, "All right, let's see what you got." So, you know, we're kind of like wrestling, and I'm just, you know, she's 115 pounds, maybe something like that. And I'm like 240 at the time. And I'm just besting her a little bit, just a little bit, and she's getting mad. And I'm just calmly saying, "You're doing good. Yeah, I'm impressed. You're strong," you know. So she looks at me dead in the eyes, and she gets real calm, and she's okay. And now I'm holding her wrist at this point, and I'm fully in control. So I think. So she gets real calm, no more struggling. She looks at me dead in the eyes, and she goes, "You know what? I had enough of your shit." I was like, "Oh yeah, what do you got?" In a half a second, she had her hands. She smacked her hands together. It broke my hold. She had my nostrils and two fingers pulling up behind my head. I was bent back, and before I could say, okay," she had me by the balls, and she had a death grip on them, and she's like, "Now." So I'm literally hooked by the nose, and I'm held by the balls, and I don't know which end hurts worse. And I'm like, I give, I swear.
So how long were you in the fetal position?
Oh, God.
That was a mercy lay on your
But well, you made me sit in that position for a good 20 seconds, but I'm begging. I was begging, "Please, babe, please, this isn't funny, please." She's like, "I told you I had enough of your shit."
Yeah.
Let's not, before you get into the frying pans.
Yeah.
Let's stop this.
They won't
Nobody's
go
gonna
there.
look at me the same as nice Teresa.
You're the best.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying. Those were the good old days.
Oh, well, for you, maybe. Man, yeah, accidental touch caused him to black out, and then just playing, you put him in some MMA deathlock. Okay.
She established some dominance, so I'll give her that.
Ask if I'm mad, ask him if he will mess with me.
I won't mess with you when you're not mad.
All right, I gotta get ready to go now because
Well, wait a minute. We got to talk about one thing because it's the title of your thing. So if any one person does hear this, see, I want you to have a moment to tell your just if we could touch on a little bit of anxiety if you have the time.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Cool. 'Cause I would like people to know they got a safe place to talk about it.
Well, no, definitely, like, that's something that is very important to me because I had post-traumatic stress disorder for about 40 years and did not know it. And by the time I realized that the condition had gotten so bad that, I became disabled, which is a catch-22 because to look at me, nothing looks wrong, but anytime I leave outside of my house, like, I'm dealing with anxiety. Sometimes the anxiety is inside the house, but definitely whenever you leave outside of the house. And for people that suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder or just suffer from anxiety,
yeah.
Anxiety and depression, because there's no look to anxiety. Like, you could look at somebody wearing compression socks and they're missing a leg or something, and they might have diabetes, but with a condition that deals, it's not necessarily a mental illness, it's an emotional disturbance, and it falls into that gray area. And most people, the only thing they can associate with an anxiety disorder is being in the service, like the military. But a lot of
That's
people
not
actually,
true.
no, it's not.
So,
But a lot of people,
I mean, not always the case. I don't mean not true. It's not
no, I know what
always
you
the
mean. It's not
case.
always the case, but a lot of people create their own coping strategies and defense strategies, not realizing that it's anxiety that they're suffering from. I had a lot of coping strategies, not realizing I had this condition. But now I'm able to see through like seeing somebody else's behavior that they probably have an anxiety disorder because their behavior mimics my behavior before I realized I had that condition. And it's a very scary thing because the worst part of having anxiety that is a disorder or suffering from depression is that you feel like nobody understands what you're going through. Even when,
Absolutely.
even when you explain it, people, and they care. Not saying that people don't care, but even when you're explaining what you're going through, they still can't fully understand. Like I met a
And
guy.
can I interrupt you for 1 minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
And when I was dealing with C's, he had anxiety disorder. I would tell him everything would be okay. I understand. You can't say these things to somebody when it's happening. You got to let them tell you what they need. Like
That
they
is
will
true.
tell you, this does not work for me. To say that, I understand. They don't hear that because they're going through it, and there's no possible way you can understand. So to say you're going to be okay, it's almost an insult. You got to be silent, let that person tell you what they need from you, even if it's on the phone.
Hmm.
Even if you're not, you have to listen and let them tell you what they need, even if they don't. It's because they figured out this works for me. So
Yeah,
don't tell somebody I understand, because you can't possibly, because every anxiety disorder is different for everybody.
it is because the trauma is usually different for everybody, and that condition
Absolutely.
is based on your trauma and your experience going through that trauma. So, yeah, it was great how you said that. You said that perfectly. I could not have said that any better. I just want to
Because
make sure
I
I
got
put that out there.
angry because you can ask Guy. I hate feeling helpless where my hands are tied and I can't help someone. I can't get to them. I can't help them. I feel helpless, and that's my fault. But I get angry with the person I'm dealing with because I'm trying to help, but I'm angry because I'm helpless to this situation.
But that's a part of post-traumatic stress disorder. That feeling of being in a traumatic situation and not being able to do anything about it is kind of what fuels the anxiety.
Yes.
Because like when Monday, when I went back to that office in CDL, I felt the trauma I experienced last year, a whole year ago. I felt that trauma coming back, and my anxiety, I held it together in that office, but when I left, that's when the anxiety started coming out. And Florian was there for me, but I was actually, because I was talking to her about that this morning, like I was looking at you like to take this away from me. Like, how come you didn't help me? But it was nothing she could really do. But in that moment, it was like, I mean, we're out in public. Like, normally she'll hold me, she'll rub my back, she'll, say Psalm 118, and she'll just sit there with me. But, you can't do that in public. And I was getting mad at her because
It
I
made you
felt,
look weak, like you felt you're showing everybody what I'm going through.
not only that was part of it, absolutely. But the other part was not only did I feel helpless, but then I felt like she was helpless too. And the thought came in my head, in that moment during that anxiety attack, nobody understands me. And that made me feel alone, which then further fueled the anxiety. Remember, I told you when we got to Bangkok, I had an anxiety attack, but
Yeah.
she was there. She stayed up the entire time. Like, that helped me get through the anxiety because because I kept saying over and over again, like, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. She kept saying, I'm never going to leave you. I'm right
See,
here. I'm here.
with my anxiety attacks, and you can ask Guy, I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you, I just get away from me. I want you near because God forbid I faint or fall the fuck out. You know what I mean? I want you there, but don't comfort me because my pride takes over on some level.
You're right.
Even though I feel weak and I want you to do it, but when you like rub my back, something like in your case, I
Yeah, but
want
that
you to do that, but I don't want you to do that. Once you put your hands on me, then I don't know what it is. Like, get off me.
so no, I think for you, you want the comfort, but
I
if
want to
he
know it's
comforts you
there,
by
but don't
by
do it.
touching you, it's still reminding you of feeling helpless. Like, you don't want to need the help because that makes you feel helpless. Am I right?
Yes. And a lot of people have that. They have anxiety, but they don't know it because they treat it the way I treat it. Like, I want you here, but don't touch me. Don't tell me everything's going to be okay. Let me just go through this, whatever it is. And they don't realize that they have this anxiety disorder.
Yeah. Somebody said something that was very, I guess the word poignant, but they said emotionally, you are the age of your trauma. So for me, that feeling of helplessness isn't actually about me, but it relates to when my mother was sick and I couldn't do anything for her. And I was the only person that was there. Like, that's that feeling of helplessness that comes back to me. It goes back to my childhood. And so
Sure.
for
I
me,
think it all does. It
yeah,
all does.
like, we had a domestic helper here, a housekeeper, and we found out later because the one thing I noticed while she was here, like, she drank a lot. And she never, she wasn't the type to drink everybody else's alcohol. She supplied her own, but I noticed she drank a lot. And then I found out the reason that, because she didn't like to take regular baths, but I found out the reason for that was because she was when she was violently raped by her stepfather. He caught her while she was taking a bath.
Oh my God.
And so because of that, anytime, you're thinking about, a bath, it's like that memory is going to come back in your head.
For sure.
And she's not aware that she has post-traumatic stress disorder. Like I said, most people aren't aware that they have it unless they have a similar experience to what they know can cause post-traumatic stress disorder. That's why everybody immediately, even without asking, when I say, I have PTSD, they're, oh, you're a veteran. I'm like, yeah, but I got it long before I ever joined the Army. But for them, that's the thing that they connected with. My friend down in Davao, he had post-traumatic stress disorder before he went in the Army. It just didn't reveal itself until he was in the Army.
Mhm.
It gets different, but
Yeah,
a lot of
fight or
people
flight.
yeah.
When you get that fight or flight mode, that you got two options, that's when you realize it. And some people don't even realize that this is an ongoing thing, because I know I really thought I was gonna die. Like, I thought I was
Yeah,
having
you
a heart
got it.
attack, and I was like, I don't have like anxiety. Get me somebody in here that graduated not from, a community college. I don't have anxiety. And then after that, every time I went to the hospital, I felt safe, and then my anxiety would go away because I knew if something happened, somebody would
You're
be
in
there
a
to help.
place that's exactly. And see, that's the thing. When you have like an anxiety attack, you need to feel safe. Like, when I first flew out to Los Angeles,
I
when I got
remember
there and I was at the
that was
airport, Yeah, I was
That was
alone.
horrible. I remember those days, and I remember I hate feeling helpless, like my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do for you. There's nothing I can do
No,
for you.
but that's where you're wrong, because you stayed on the phone with me, you read the Bible to me, and I knew somebody that cared was there. That was what I needed in that moment, and that's how you were able to help me. See, like, don't think no, what you did, because while you were reading the Bible, then that voice of reason started coming in my head. You have nothing to worry about. You're in a hotel, you're safe now. You don't have to worry about money. You've got money. Your dog is right there with you. She's fine. Teresa's on the phone. Teresa loves you. Teresa's talking to you right now. That allowed me to start relaxing because I felt safe now. Like that's that main thing, that helpless feeling. And like you said, when you got to the hospital, now you're in a safe environment. So
Because I really thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, anxiety. Why would I have anxiety? I can remember my first anxiety attack. I was cooking beef stew in a crock pot, and guy was just getting home. He just walked through the door, and I was like, something's not right. I'm having a heart attack. Like my chest, it was physical. It wasn't mental. I felt my chest tightening, and my arms went numb, and I was like, something is happening. And I said, call the ambulance. I
let me ask you
really
this.
believed I was having a heart attack, and
No,
it
but let me ask you this question with that.
sure.
So was it sudden that this discomfort came on? Like, was it sudden?
Yeah, all of a sudden.
No, that was a panic attack.
Yeah,
Panic attacks.
and then I would get stuck in them, and I asked my doctors, like, because I instead of taking medication, I would drink have a few glasses of wine or a couple shots because I didn't want to go the medication route.
Right.
So I would do that to calm myself down. But yeah, it came on like out of nowhere,
Yeah,
nowhere.
that's a panic attack. Anxiety attack, you'll start having thoughts first, like, oh God, I gotta go through this again.
Yeah,
Or
no, there was no thought. I was happy
no,
dancing with the
that's
music on,
that's a straight
cooking
panic
beats.
attack.
Right, and then I found I would get stuck. I don't know if you'll know what this means, but like I even asked my doctor, like I could go 8 hours, and then I realized it can go longer than that. It could go 2 days where I'm just stuck in this anxiety.
No,
It
but
doesn't end.
that's an episode. That I mean not to say it's extended. Like
I
anxiety
never
attacks.
heard that phrase episode. I never ever once heard that before.
No, when you're going through that, because what happens is, for me, if the PTSD, I went untreated for so long, it now triggered like a bipolar disorder because the aggravation of my PTSD. So sometimes
I got
I'll get
tested for all that, and believe it or not, you're not going to believe me, but I came up not bipolar. Not well. I got some anger issues. Everybody knows that.
no, I'm not saying you're bipolar, but it can also, like, before, if I had got my condition treated earlier, I would have just maybe every now and again had bipolar
Yes,
symptoms.
and that's where I was going to go to. When I had my first panic attack, when I was doing that, when I would the beef stew. Thank you. He said, if you don't like slow down, take time for yourself, he said, because you're doing everything for everybody. There's no time for you. He said, I will see you here in 1 year and you will be crippled by this.
Yeah.
And I thought he was full of shit. No,
Nope.
but he 2 or 3 days before he said 1 year, I was
Uh-huh.
right back in the hospital, like he said. But a lot of that had to do with a thyroid condition too.
Yeah, but also the one thing you mentioned, you're one of those giving people, so you don't exercise a lot of self-care. And that was the same thing for me. Like, actually, as a distraction from, those bad
Gary, can you
memories.
can you talk to Guy for a minute? Cause I
I'm
got
listening. Go ahead.
Oh, oh, no
I
problem.
gotta step away for 1 sec.
Yeah, when you have that,
I gotta. Gary's calling.
it's the thing about self-care. We don't exercise that enough. And that becomes a problem. Like, if I get triggered, where something triggered that memory and it caused a panic attack, that could last for like 2 or 3 days, where that's all I'm thinking about. Like, when I get triggered, like, that fight or flight thing comes in. And for me, I never ran, so I'm the fight thing. So certain things my body will stop doing. Like, I don't go to the bathroom. I don't eat. Like, I turn off, like, hunger pains or whatever. I don't feel anything like that. And then I just get like hyper focused. And if I get triggered like that, it takes at least 3 days to come out of it. Now, if I just have an anxiety attack, sometimes it might last 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then it'll take 10, 15, or 20 minutes to come out of it. And you're tired, but like the next day, you'll probably be like, all right, I'm feeling okay now. But when you get really hard on triggered, that sets you in that state, and you just automatically go back into your fight mode or your flight mode. And it takes a while for you to get out of it. It takes a while for me to get out of it anyway. And then, like, I got triggered Monday from the situation in immigration, and then me and Florian had this really big argument. I was only eating like once a day, and I was only eating because I knew I had to, but it wasn't because I was hungry. I think yesterday I started being okay where I could just eat like regular, and the sleeping, it wasn't good. It was better last night, but those are the things that happen, when you get triggered like that. And that's because my condition got really bad. Like I said, I first got PTSD when I was 8 years old. I didn't get diagnosed with PTSD until I was 34. And I wasn't really treating it. I got it, so what? But by the time I was 47, it started becoming more and more noticeable. And by the time I was 48, I was done. Like, you're done. Like, I couldn't, shake, how you get a bad thought and you'll shake your head and it's like, okay, yeah, don't even think about that. I couldn't do that anymore, and then my last job, I was teaching a class and I'm having, these small panic attacks, because they can be big and they can be real small. They can last for 10, 15 minutes. They can last for 3 or 4 seconds. But what it does is it wipes out your thoughts. So I'm in the middle of teaching class and I'll have a flashback or something for like 3 seconds. And it's like, what was I doing? And, my students are like, hey, what's going on? You were talking about this. And, you have to play it off like, you knew it all the time, but it's like, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. Oh, what you say, Herman? You need to
Can you
research
just give me 1
PTSD.
second? Gary from up the
Yeah.
road called and
Okay.
said, oh, no, just 1 second. Gary
No,
from
go
up
ahead.
the road had called and your phone, and he said that there's a truck block and he can't get out.
All right, I'm gonna go see if I can help my
No,
neighbor.
he said give it
Oh.
he said give it like 20 minutes. He said and he'll call back.
All right.
But
All right.
he said there's a
Okay.
truck block and he can't get out. He said, but he said he doesn't. It's not like right now. He said give it a few, and let me see.
All right. I
So
got
wait, Hermes, you said they have a way to reset my brain. Yeah, but if they do that, then I might have to go
You
back
need
to work.
to
I don't want to go
you
back to
need
work
to
anymore.
research PTSI. They have a way. They found a way to reset your.
Yeah,
And
I don't want it. marijuana
Yeah.
helps.
Anybody in my brain.
No.
Yeah, marijuana helps reset my brain. That's why I'm going back to Thailand because it's legal there. But no, Hermes, thank you for the information though. Like honestly, I am going to research it just to have that knowledge. But yeah, I don't know. That's not something that I would actually consider. I've had to come to accept, that I have this condition, and this is where God sent me anyway. I honestly believe that, before my condition disabled me, I thought I was doing everything on my own and I didn't need God. And, look at me, look at my accomplishments in spite of everything. But the reality is that this helped me realize the importance of having, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in my life. Like it,
Amen.
like I'm pretty sure that was God's plan for me. Just like I've told this story a number of times before, I didn't bring God with me when I left Philadelphia. And, that's why things fell apart for me because, before I left, I'm praying every day, I'm, reading the Bible. And when, I got my, my money for selling my house and I'm already planning, everything that I was going to do when I came here, I kind of felt like, yeah, God's a good friend to have, but look at what I'm doing now. And yeah, I didn't bring God with me and it fell apart. And when I got here and I was having this conversation with Florian that, because she was saying, if it was her, what happened to me, she'd still be so angry about it. And I said, what I lost was money, but what I found again and gained again was my faith. And I was like, that's priceless. And I was like, the family that, took advantage of my kindness, they're miserable.
I
And I'm not.
remember that. I remember that specifically. I'm not going to name names, but I remember, and I even tricked that person into believing that, and they were all about it. If you remember that story.
Yeah, and they're not happy. They are not happy at all. And, I would much rather have gone through what I went through.
Calculating is what they are.
But they're calculating for what purpose? Nothing.
No, even with me, they were like, I have an idea that you're in the hospital right now. And I'm like, how the hell would they know that? And I was like, oh, you bitch.
Yeah, but everything that they've done, because they hide behind. What is that feedback? Do you hear that?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard feedback. I do hear feedback. I don't know where it's coming from.
It might be me.
You got the volume?
Hold on. Wait, let me move the phone.
Oh, okay.
I have one phone next to another so I could read the chat. Sorry. Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I still hear it. No, I'm okay with it now. One of the things for me was that, dealing with that person, none of the calculating or the deceitful things that they tried to do, they're still where they've always been, which is nowhere.
But for a minute, what that person did was try to hem you up at every chance they could.
They tried.
And you couldn't have been more generous. And I started getting angry and I was like, and they were like, oh, I took care of that yesterday. And I was like, the hell you did.
Love you, honey.
And I started realizing what that person had done. And I was like, no, you didn't take care of it. You didn't. In fact, I was like, tell me the name. Tell me the name. And it had to do with your dog. And not only not doing it, but sabotaging it. And I was like, that's just plain right evil.
Yeah, but like I said, they have to account for their sins. and that is up to God to handle. What I
Yeah,
what I'm
but for
thinking
a person to speak on God and the way they did, to do the things that they did, made me really, really, it made me angry is what it made me.
as a Christian, it would. I mean, as a real Christian, it would, because they're being. It's one thing to be disrespectful to a person. It's another thing to be disrespectful and manipulative and hiding behind God to, promote your unholy agenda.
Well,
And that's what it is.
she explained her agenda, and she said no matter what, C has always been better. He was always, smarter. And she, as much praise as she gave you, she hated you for the good things you did. And I was like, I don't understand what these are all good things you're naming. They're good qualities, and you're
But it was
hating it.
because she was jealous.
And
In
I said
her
to her, I said, so you're in competition? She's like, it was always kind of like we were in competition. I said, but
No.
you got to realize he doesn't see a competition.
I didn't.
You're in competition, and there's no competition. So who are you competing with?
In her mind, everything was based on like an age hierarchy. So she felt that because she was older than me, that she should have accomplished things before me. So it's kind of like, as long as he's not doing anything, I'm still ahead. And I didn't understand that until I came to Los Angeles, and we were actually, face to face, and I introduced her to you because I'm like, this is like my sister, and then she, that's what happened. But that's when I look back on our entire relationship history, and I saw, she was always competing with me.
And I told her that. I said, you're in a competition, but he's not competing, so there's no competition. So what are you doing? And she could not give me an answer for the life of her.
Well, understand that she had a complete family, mother, father, grandmother. They owned 2 houses. She got to live in the second house with a brother and sister. The sister had the basement apartment, so she pretty much had the upper 2 floors. The other brother, he was always working. She had that. My mother wasn't able to give me those types of things.
And it made me mad. She would use her daughter to back up her sadistic thinking.
Yeah.
And her daughter wasn't built like that. So to convince your daughter to be mean, I don't know what you'd want to.
Her daughter, honestly, she has 2. Her oldest daughter, I don't know what kind of relationship she has with her father. Her younger daughter actually had a good relationship with her father. But both fathers are losers, because she purposely dated guys. And I'm not going to say that about her daughter's father, but I'll definitely say from the men that she dated after we met each other, because I was a teenager when we met. She purposely took.
I'm sorry. You got it?
She purposely went after guys that weren't doing anything so she could feel superior to them. She went after guys that, didn't have their own place. They were borderline homeless, didn't have a job. Those are the types of guys she went after. And I think they clouded her judgment, and when she realized, I've spent my whole life doing nothing, then she jumped on the Jesus wagon and now she's proclaiming that she's a prophet.
Oh yeah, she did that with me.
But it's all narcissism. She's
It's
convinced
it's a little bit more narcissism. She's got a lot more going on than that.
I honestly don't know. I was still in California the last time I talked to her because she had promised me when she came to my hotel in California, because I didn't even know she was in California at the time. I knew her daughter was, and that was the only person I knew in Los Angeles, so I had called her. And then she said, my mom's here too, and she wants to come and help. And I said, sure. So with that, she was like, I understand, I got you, I'm not going to leave you, I'm going to be here as long as you need me.
If you took them out to dinner and say it was $200, you'd pay $400.
Mm-hmm.
And
no. I gave her,
no, yes, she told me. She told me that.
I didn't take them out to dinner. She lied to you. I ordered food.
Well, whatever it was, whatever the price was, she would say it was more.
No. She didn't know how much it cost because I ordered on DoorDash. We didn't go out to eat because I needed to rest. So
maybe I'm wrong, but she said she collected whatever off you, and
no. Here's what happened. I gave her just $100 cash money, and that was because I had money. I'm not going to be greedy. No, that does not include the food, eating out and other things. That's just what I gave her. Had she told me, like my car is dying or I'm behind on my rent, I would have given her money for that. Like I said, I'm not. Money's not my item. I don't look at money that way.
Yeah, I know that.
But she got mad because I sent money to my ex-fiance, who needed money in order to meet me in Manila. She got mad about it.
No, I remember that too.
She got mad because when I realized I was at the crappy Best Western.
Because she called me and asked me how to contact her, and I was like, I don't know. And she did not believe that.
No, I'm glad you didn't know. Because, she would have done something to make that situation a bad situation. Like I said, it was all about money. She got mad because the first time in my life, I can take care of me and just me. When I knew I was going to stay there longer because I had to get the paperwork for Cayenne.
That's what I remember. She did sabotage that. She said she had an appointment and you needed. Yep. And I called and I was able to get that appointment right away.
Yeah, but she had canceled it. And
yes,
the only reason we found out was when you called.
And I sent flowers as an apology.
Yeah. But she canceled that appointment. Yeah. Here's what happened. When I changed hotels, because I had checked out of the Best Western, thinking everything was okay, and I could just fly straight to Manila. When I realized
because you were so confused, and you were like, Teresa, I don't understand. Like, the appointment was here.
I didn't understand. Yeah. But no, before that, before she canceled the appointment, here's what happened. I checked out of the hotel. They took me to the airport. I told them, because I was going to be there for at least a week. I knew I was going to be there for at least a week. So I'm like, I'm going to stay in a nice place. And that's when I checked into the Western.
Right.
I told them I would pay to have their car inspected and get tuned up.
Yep, I remember all that.
She got mad because I went to the Western Hotel. But she was invited.
Right, because it was money you should have given her for all her help. And I was like, bitch, what help?
Wait, hold on. The next day, this is where I asked her for help. I asked her, because all of my clothes were still at the airport. All my luggage was still at the airport. I had ordered clothes on Target, asked her to pick it up for me.
Mhm.
She said, okay. As I was talking to her, she said, my ride is here. I'm on my way to Target. 7 hours later, she sends this casual text message. I'm sorry, cousin, but my leg was bothering me, so I didn't get to go to Target. That's when I was like, you don't want me to succeed. You don't want to.
And then she also made an excuse that she was doing like charity work, like food, like cooking for whatever at
That
church
was a
or
lie.
something. I remember that.
Yeah,
And
that
I
was a
was
lie.
and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Can you send me a picture? And she's like, no, we don't allow that. And I was like, it's charitable? And she said, yeah. I said, they absolutely allow that. And they probably have like a Facebook link or some kind
No,
of.
but it was a lie.
Oh, I know. That's why I
the whole
called her
time.
on it.
Like, I think her daughter is part of a cult, to be honest. Not one of those doomsday type cults, but the way they talk, it just cult vibes came up. But after I
Yeah,
had
because
talked
you
to
warned me. You were like, no, just listen. I've been talking to her and just don't. And then a certain incident that I won't tell.
right.
Facebook, and she was on the money. And months later, she's like, I have a feeling you're in the hospital. I'm like, how the fuck would she know that? And you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, and I was creeped out, like, because I didn't put 2 and 2 together at first. And I was like, this bitch, man, are you kidding me? Like, who does that?
Because she has a Section 8 in Los Angeles. Well, outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I remember that. And you were
LA
like,
County.
I really don't want to be here. Like,
The walls in that place were so thin, you could hear somebody chewing on a sandwich. Like, it looked nice, but that was about it.
that was her thing, too. She wanted to make it look like she was better, and.
But that's what narcissists do. They have to pretend. If a narcissist is truly living in reality, they're not a narcissist. But a narcissist has to convince first themselves that they're more than what they are, and then they work to, convince other people that they're more than what they are. She at one time told me she was a songwriter, and that Motown was interested in signing her to be a songwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. Motown doesn't know who you are any more than they know who I am. And when she's telling me this, I'm like, it's 2018. You can market yourself now. SoundCloud, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. You don't need to audition for a record producer anymore. Social media is removed.
You can be independent.
Yes. But
if you got pipes, sing it. And
she doesn't have pipes. She is not articulate where she could write a song and Barry Gordy Jr. is going to say, oh, wow, we need to sign her immediately. You know what? Mariah Carey's going to love this. No, that's not reality. But that's what she's created for herself. I think the problem for her with me was the things that I told her in 2020 I was planning on doing. She had similar plans. But now my plans are actually coming into reality.
Yep, yours came to fruition and hers were only talk. Like, that was obvious.
Yeah, and narcissists do not like to be around people that are going to remind them of reality. They can't stand it.
To this day, I still don't know what a narcissist is.
A narcissist is a person that is the best description of a narcissist would be the devil. If you think about it, the devil thought he was more important than what he was, got angry at God because God created Earth and Adam and Eve and didn't advise the devil ahead of time. So then the devil was like, you know what? I
Got
don't need this.
casted out.
They leave. They take their cronies with them. And now they spend their whole lives trying to poison God's creation. But they know at a certain point, the reality is God's going to win. So all they're doing now is trying to destroy as much as possible, pretending that they're all powerful, but they're really not.
That's why
That's
I suggested she read the Bible, because she said something and I said, obviously you didn't read the entire thing. I said, because when they say Jesus coming in in the second coming, he was already here once. That doesn't count because he was man on earth. That doesn't count. That's already been written. He's going to come here once, but it won't be him because he said it will be the devil, and my true believers will know the difference.
Right.
And I told her that, and she argued that, and I said, no, this is after the fact that he was already here.
She reads parts of the Bible to promote her agenda. Let me put it that way. You know, she has something on TikTok where she's supposed to be giving like motherly advice. And the reality is, you didn't really raise your kids. You know nothing about relationships. You have no advice that would help anybody. You said you were changing your lifestyle when you realized you had bad kidneys from poor diet and the likes. Now you have to walk with a cane. But the thing, when I said, "What would you like to eat?" she wanted Denny's.
I remember, and I called. You know what? I called her heathen.
She is. She's a heathen.
Because she would lie, and I would say, I just caught you in that. And I would ask her something very simple, and it was based on what she said. And I would ask her something, and then it would come up a lie, and I would explain to her, and she'd swear up and down she's not lying. And I was like, no, you weaponize words against people, and then you call them a liar. But the fact is, you're a liar.
Yeah, but
she don't text me no more.
Well, no. Once their secret is revealed, they can't get over on you anymore. They're gonna move on.
Yeah, I let her have it too. I let her have it.
I pray for her. I do. Like my ex-fiance and her family. I pray for them.
I pray for her too, because I did, because she seems so nice, so caring, and but she's in it for the money, and I saw that right away. And money.
Yeah, she was probably my favorite cousin. And it really hurt me that out of the people that I had to remove from my life, it really hurt me that she was one of them. Like, sometimes you get rid of people like, you know what, I'm better off without you, and we were never really friends, and I always had my doubts about you. But with her, it was like a sad moment. I
remember that, and I remember you not holding anybody that stood up for her daughters. You didn't hold them accountable. You still offered to take them out to dinner, and you would take them out to dinner.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
And you didn't hold, and that made her so mad.
She's a lost cause.
Because she would give an, if you go, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that for you. Like, she would do that. And I was like, and I told her, I said, if you love him like you say you do, and you trust him like you say you do, and all of this other stuff, why would that offend you that your daughters are, close to him?
The easy the easy answer is because it didn't involve her. If it doesn't involve her, then no, it's no good. But anyway, I really do have to go now because yeah, it's been a minute and my stomach's growling. So thank you so much. We're gonna do this again soon, and we're gonna be in touch. And
Thank you to everybody that came in chat or just,
yeah,
even if you made an
thank
appearance.
you. Who else came in here? Ken, thank you so much for coming in here.
Yeah.
Juilliard, Hermes, of course.
Juilliard is Guy.
I know.
The boys
Thank
did that.
everybody for coming. I have something better, not better. I'll have something new next time, but since Teresa's, back in the fold, I won't wait so long to make my next live stream. But I want everybody to take care. Have a good night. God bless. Again, next time I'll dedicate the whole live stream. We're going to talk about PTSD. Hermes, I'm going to look up that stuff you said. And yeah, we can have it end up, just a general, open, safe conversation deal with, anxiety disorder, depression, bipolar, PTSD. So everybody, I want you to have a good night. Take care. Go Eagles. Love you.
Night, C.
Night, C.